Okay, let us add some other controls. Okay, currently we have the selection, so but we need to display the outcome of the selection, meaning that what is the how much should the user pay based on the different selections. Okay, first and foremost, let us go to our source. Okay, now if we refer back to this, okay, you can see that these are all the values. So basically these are the amount before the calculation of SST. But of course, when there is SST, meaning that it will add another 6% to the amount. So basically, so we have actually several other controls that we need to add for until that we have the actual total that a particular sender needs to pay for a particular parcel of certain weight. Okay, sometimes copy and paste can be very tricky. Now this is row. Okay, okay, let me scroll up. So we have TD, we have another TD. Okay, now for this, okay, the first one, let's say that we want, this is let's say that I'm going to call this subtotal. Okay, because this is before the calculation of the SST, so this is in RM. Okay, meaning that when I say subtotal, it means this value. So this is subtotal because it has not been added the SST. Okay, these are all subtotal. Okay, now for the second cell, I'm going to drag and drop a label. So we have a label here. Okay, now this is label. So I'm going to change the ID. So from label 1, this will be LBL subtotal. Okay, this is subtotal. Okay, we are not going to display any default text, so I'm just deleting the whole thing. Okay, so let us have a look. Now this is subtotal. Okay, now let us go to the next one. Okay, now next row. Okay, just now I said that we need to have SST. So okay, let's say that I'm going to paste this one. So now this is SST. Okay, so this is SST. This is the amount. Okay, SST, and this is about, it's not about, it's exactly 6%, and the we are going to display how much. Okay, that is that 6%. And for the label, this will be LBL SST. Okay, so okay, now we have this one, second row. Okay, next, after we have the subtotal and SST amount, so we need to add both of these. So meaning that the SST amount we add to the subtotal, so we have another total. So that is the actual total. So what we are going to do is that, okay, I'm going to unpin this. Okay, okay, let's say that I'm going to copy this row, table row. Okay, here this will be the total. The total is RM, and the label here is LBL total. Okay, now this is a row. Okay, is this the end? Okay, now No, because sometimes when we calculate, after we calculate the SST amount, sometimes the amount is not like there is like 47 cent, 49 cent. So basically, so based on the ruling in Malaysia, so you must round, okay, the amount to the nearest 5 cent. So meaning that if you have like 10 ringgit 43 cents, it will become 10 ringgit 45 cent. Okay, so rounded to the nearest cent. So meaning that we need to do some rounding adjustment. So what we are going to do now is that similarly I'm going to paste this again. Okay, going to paste. This is another row. Let's say that this will be rounding. This is rounding adjustment. Okay, meaning that it can be minus 1 cent or additional 2 cents to round to the nearest 5 cents. So, and let's say the label, I'm going to rename the label, the ID, to LBL rounding. Okay, it's quite long, but I think we should just retain like this, so at least we have some consistency in doing. And finally, after we round, so there is this final total, which is actually after the rounding. Okay, so I paste again, and let's say we say that this is the grand total, meaning that this is the final amount that we need to pay. Okay, so this is the grand total, and the ID here will be LBL grand total. Okay, now this is LBL grand total. Okay, let us save everything and let us look at the design. Okay, everything looks okay to me. Okay, let us try to run this. Okay, remember that we cannot run directly from the ASCX, so we need to go to the ASPX. Okay, perhaps we want to add something here. Yeah. Next. Okay, you can see that here we need to add actually some breaks between this and the buttons. Okay, so after this we are going to do it. Okay, meaning that we can select and we will calculate. So basically what we are going to do now is that we are going to actually write a method. Okay, first and foremost, how do we calculate this? So this is where we are going to represent the table in a form of two-dimensional array, and from there we are going to use to do something that I call a lookup. Okay, a lookup table, so that we can actually find the values for any particular combination of weight and zone. So meaning that there will be the calculation when we click, and there is also calculation when anything of the weight and zone changes. So when we click this one, automatically it will recalculate. Okay, first let us add some breaks between this grand total and this button. So I'm closing this first. Okay, so this is the fine. Okay, so where should we put this? Okay, I think we should put this here. Let's say that I'm going to put in 2 breaks. Okay, I think this looks better, or perhaps yeah, this is too far. I think one should be enough. Okay, so 1 should be enough. So what I'm going to do is that, where is just now? Where is the break just now? Here. Okay, so okay, this is enough. Okay, this is only 1 break. Okay, let us go to the design. Okay, this is what we have. Okay, so the next thing we are going to do is that we are going to actually write the methods for this. So basically we need to actually go to the parser rates.ascx. Okay, now this is our control just now. Okay, let us, first one, we need to have this calculate button. We need to double click this one. So now we have this particular method. Okay, we have this btn calculate underscore click method. So it will execute when once anytime we click the button. Okay, that is one. So let us go to do everything first. Okay, now the second one, we have the weight. So this one also, because we do not want to use any button for this one, meaning that we double click this particular list box. Okay, okay, now here you have lst weight underscore selected index change. So meaning that every time the index change, meaning that someone selects a different selection, so it will trigger and execute this particular method that we are going to write here. So this one here. Okay, so I have button click, button click, list weight selected index change, and we have another one. Okay, the zone. So I'm going to double click this one. So now we have three. Okay, we have three methods here. Okay, okay, now so let us write the first one. Okay, now before that, because we are going to calculate this particular table, so we need what we need to do is that we need to actually take the values here. Okay, but not the weight and the zone, because this has been represented in the two list boxes, but just inside here. Okay, the 6 ringgit, 8.509. Okay, these are all the values. So these are actually two-dimensional table. So meaning that there is a rows and there is height. So and the values here, okay, remember that we cannot store the rm, because rm is string, but we need just to take the value, meaning that if 6, this is 6 ringgit, 6.00 or 8.50. So these are the things. So meaning that if we are to create an array, so we need to create a two-dimensional array, and the type of this array should be a double, because we need to store some values with a decimal place. So I am assuming that all of you has experience with an array, perhaps in a different language such as Java. Okay, but it is quite similar, some difference in terms of the syntax. Okay, okay, now where should we create this particular array? Should we create here, page load, button click, or here? Okay, now this particular table, which the values that we are going to assign into the array must be accessible to all the methods, meaning that when I say accessible to all the methods, whether it's a button click, or it is the list weight selected index change, or list zone selected index change, the same array must be accessible to the to all these three methods. So now, because of that, we cannot create our array here. So if we create our array here, for example, within this example, okay, this button click, so the array can only be accessible within this button click. So the selected index change cannot access that array. So because of that, we cannot put that here. So what we do is that we need to put within the class. Okay, now this is the class. See, this is outside. So meaning that this is outside this individual method. Okay, this is the method, but this is outside the method. So meaning that if we actually declare our array here, okay, all these methods here within this particular class can access the values of the array. Okay, so now we are going to put this here. So let me actually write something. Okay, so here, similar to a variable, so we can actually type in the type. So this is the type double, because we want to store an array of double values. Okay, now for C#, we use a square bracket for array. Okay, now for two-dimensional array, okay, this is how we do it. Okay, you can see that there is, okay, if I am to put in the space, you can see that this is the row. The first one is the row. The second one is the column. Okay, now this is different, okay, from Java. If you want to two-dimensional array, it becomes like this. Okay, but in C#, if you do like this, it has a different meaning and the application is different. So this is like Java, but not Java. Okay, so this is Java. So but in C#, if two-dimensional array, this is like this. Or if you want three-dimensional array, this is three-dimensional array. Okay, meaning that 1, 2, 3. So if we have something like this, this is two-dimensional array. Okay, space is not a problem, but let's say that I'm just going to put this. So now this is we declare an array of type double. So now let us choose a name for our array. So let's say that I'm going to choose rates, because this is the table is about rates. Okay, now for you to declare an array, okay, there are several ways. First, we declare it explicitly, meaning that we actually what we can do is that we count the number of rows and columns. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So there are 9 rows and 3 columns. So that is, we actually state within our code that particular number of rows and columns. Okay, but another way is that we do it implicitly, meaning that we do not state what is the maximum number of rows, what is the maximum number of columns, but we let actually the size of this array to be determined by our data. Okay, okay, now no problem for us to go to the next line. Okay, now for a two-dimensional array, okay, in terms of to store the data, so what I'm going to do is that I'm going to assign the values directly into this particular two-dimensional array. So now we have this, see, okay, let us, okay, now currently this is an error, but let me put a semicolon here. Okay, this is actually an array, but if you have a two-dimensional array, okay, a two-dimensional array, so basically what we will have is something like this. Okay, see, now you can see that this one, okay, this is the first row. Now if you have a second row, comma, this is row number 2. This is row number 3. Okay, how many rows do we have? Just now we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9. So we have 9 rows. So basically what I'm going to do is that I'm going to copy this. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And okay, 9, we don't have a comma at the end. Okay, now you can see that this one is rows. This is rows, and between each row there is a comma separating this. Okay, now this one, the outermost, can see that this one, this is the outer curly bracket that encapsulate the whole of the array. Okay, now let us actually put these rows into a more familiar look. This is row Okay, this looks like a row now. Okay, see, this is row number 1, row number 2, until this is the last row, but this one is actually the array itself. Okay, now let us have a look at the values. Okay, we are going to put, there are 3 columns. For example, first is we have 6, 8.5 and 9. 6, 8.5 and 9. So what I can do here is that 6, 8.5 and 9. Okay, you can also choose for the purpose of looks pretty, we can put something like this. Okay, this looks like after you have done this, you have to check, make sure that what you key in is correct. So if you key in incorrectly, so basically it will affect your program. So let me save this first. Okay, now the concept of two-dimensional array, okay, basically you can see that this is similar to index. Okay, for an array, it's always start with a 0. So meaning that, so the first row is considered the index is 0. The index for the row is 0. This is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. So meaning that the rows are indexed from 0 to 8. And the columns, there are 3. So this is 0, column 0, column 1, and column 2. So we have 0, 1, and 2. So basically, the concept that we choose is similar to the index within the list box. Okay, index between or the drop down list. Okay, for example, let's say that if a particular list box, okay, let us have a look at the list box first. Here, okay, let me, okay, let's say that we select, okay, we select a particular weight. Let's say we choose this 1 kilogram. So within this 1 kilogram and West Malaysia. So this 1 kilogram, what is the index of this 1 kilogram here? So this is index 0, 1, 2. So 1 kilogram is index is 2 for the weight. And for the zone, let's say West Malaysia, this is index 0. So meaning that we have 2, 0. So if we actually have a look at our array, so 2 and 0, so now the rows represent the weight. So we have 0, this is okay, let me, okay, this is 0, this is 1, this is 2. So now we are talking about this particular row, and just now we have the columns, we have 0, 1, 2. So West Malaysia, this is West Malaysia, this is Sarawak, and this is Sabah. So if the weight is within 1 kilogram, so this is row number 2 and column 0, so it intersects at this 8.50, 8 ringgit 50 cent. Okay, so what we need to actually do is that we need to find the array rates, okay, based on the row 0 and column we need to find the values of the array based on the row number 2, which is 0, 1, 2, which is this row, and the column is column 0, which is the first column index 0, which is this one. So meaning that we have the value 8.50. Okay, let us have a look at this one, whether this is correct. So if we take 1 kilogram and West Malaysia, so where does it intersect? 8.50. Okay, let us actually look another example. Okay, let's say this one. Let's say that we take another weight. Let's say within this 2.50 kilogram. Let's say we select this one. And let's say that we select Sabah. We select Sabah. So meaning that this 2.50, what is the index? So we need to count 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So the index number is 7 for the weight. And for the zone, we have index 0, 1, 2. Okay, because Sabah. Okay, so basically we have a combination of 7 and 2. So if we actually have a look at our array, so meaning that we have row 7, index 7. So this is 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Now the column just now is column number 2, 0, 1, 2. So this is 0, this is 1, and this is 2. So we have this value 41 ringgit. So the array is based on the rates 7, 2. So this is 41 ringgit, should be 41 ringgit. So let us check again to see whether is this correct. Okay, now from the table, just now we have like 2.5 kilo just now. Okay, and we are looking for Sabah. So it is 41 ringgit here. Okay, so this is the some of the concept how the two-dimensional array can represent such a table here.